And without further ado, now have the honor to introduce our highly anticipated keynote speaker. With more than 61 million Facebook fans and 48 million Twitter followers, pop star Lady Gaga sure knows how to build a following. But it's not just the crazy outfits, weird performances, and catchy tunes, and creates passionate loyalty. By focusing on her superfans, Gaga is building the foundation for the customer base that she hopes to have 25 years from now. Her fan philosophy and the ways that Gaga engages with her fans, or little monsters, as she calls them, are a model for brands to emulate. And here today to speak about loyalty lessons from Lady Gaga, please welcome our keynote speaker, Jackie Huba.
So I'm wondering if some of you, when you saw the program for this year's event and you saw lessons from Lady Gaga, you thought, really? Lady Gaga? Really? What am I gonna learn from her? And then I know there were some of you who thought, wow, Lady Gaga, all right, she's been pretty successful. I bet there's some stuff we're gonna learn from her. And then I bet there were a few people, I'm wondering, who thought, oh my God, I totally love Lady Gaga. This is gonna be amazing. Where are you? We have some big Lady Gaga fans? Do we? Raise your hand if you're a Lady Gaga fan. Okay, keep your hand up if you would consider yourself a little monster. Little monster? Little monster? No, really, not like this, little monster. Yeah? Really? Awesome, I love it. Well, then you're gonna know some of the things I'm gonna talk about today. But I have to tell you, I've been studying customer loyalty, customer relationships for over 15 years. And I talked to lots of groups around the world, small businesses, large brands, large corporations. And really, I think when we start looking at innovation and how we're going to do things differently, I think it's really important to look outside our industry. And back in 2008, when Lady Gaga came on the scene, I got really attracted to the music, but then I saw this person who wasn't just a singer, a songwriter, an amazing talent. She was also a performance artist with the crazy outfits and clothes and lighting her piano on fire, and she was doing things that no one else was doing. And as someone who studies customer loyalty and relationships, I started to look at how she was interacting with fans. And I began to see that she was doing something different than anyone else was doing in that category as well. So over the past 6 years, I began studying her, reading everything she was doing, talking to fans, interacting with fans. And I, after a while, realized, holy cow, there's an amazing set of strategies that she is using to be around for the long term. And it all has to do with connecting with customers and creating such a passionate set of fans that they're going to be with her for the long term, and they're going to recruit new customers in. And I thought, this is an exciting thing she's doing, and I want to share what she's doing with everyone else, and that's why I'm here today. And that's why I've put together these strategies that are going to work for your business and any business in creating really passionate fans that love to talk about you. All right, so for those of you who don't know a whole lot about Lady Gaga, I want to take you through a little tour of what she's been doing. How many people went to her last Art Pop concert? Anybody? Linwood, you did? Yeah? If you haven't, let me show you what it looks like. Here's a little clip. Ring a bell? Yeah, it's a huge, huge production. But then there are times when, if you remember, she brought it down, sitting in front of the piano, inviting fans up, just talking to them, and being real, being authentic. Absolutely. So, she, as I said, she's really only been around since 2008. So just to take you through some of her accomplishments, she has had 3 albums so far, well, actually now 4. 28 million albums, 140 million singles, 6 Grammys, and her latest, and in case you weren't aware, was the new Cheek to Cheek album of duets she did with Tony Bennett, which is an amazing album if you haven't heard it, and she's on tour with that right now. Has anyone seen Cheek to Cheek with Tony Bennett? Anybody? No Little Monsters? It's amazing, and she's still on tour. So lots of folks in the media have really been paying attention to what she's been doing. Time magazine had listed her on the 100 most influential people in the world. Can you see who she's standing next to? Right? A president, right? And this is a pop singer. Forbes, a few years ago, had her listed as the most powerful celebrity. Can you see who number 2 is? Okay, when you surpass Oprah Winfrey on any list, there is something amazing going on. And as we heard earlier in the introduction, and I have to look at these numbers every time I do a presentation because they change all the time, her social media following is massive. 48 million Twitter followers, 61 million Facebook likes. I mean, wouldn't we all like to have a social media following as big as that? It's quite amazing. But behind all of that is a figure that engenders so much love and connection around the world. They refer to her as Mother Monster. And these are fans who, no matter what language they speak, connect with her music. I'm going to share with you how she's built this fan base and show you how that's going to work for your business. As I mentioned, the name of the book is called Monster Loyalty. If you're on your phone and you're tweeting, that's totally cool. Use hashtag Monster Loyalty. If something resonates with you, I'd love to hear about it. So it's totally cool if you have your phone out and you're tweeting. And we're also doing, by the way, a book signing, I understand, right after this, around the corner, back where you checked in. So I hope to see you there. Okay, let me delve into the things that she's doing. Probably one of the most important and strategic things that she's doing to build this loyal customer base is an idea I call the 1%ers, right? And this is sort of how it works. So if you think about your customer base and you think about your new customers, your existing customers, and then you think about those customers who love you, the clients who absolutely adore what you do. They're actually a really small part. And in my last book with my co-author, we had done a lot of research to look at customer bases for companies and look at the most engaged fans. We looked at Microsoft communities and Intuit communities, a lot of big corporate communities, and we found this rule over and over again, that it was about 1% of a customer base is the super, super, super passionate people, the people who absolutely love what you're doing. They cannot help themselves to refer you to other people. They just feel they have to, right? It's this really, really small number, 1%, right? So I call them the 1%ers. And this is the group that we really need to pay attention to, right? Who are they? Do we even know who they are? Do we pay attention to who they are? Well, I want to introduce you to a few 1%ers. This is a 1%er for Lady Gaga that you might not think about. I think a lot of people think her fans are young. This is Amber Brown. She's 38. She lives in Southern Illinois. She works in insurance. She is a giant Lady Gaga fan. And those of you who are Lady Gaga fans will understand some of the terminology on here. She went to 9 Monster Balls. That was the first tour. She went to 5 Born This Way balls. That was the second tour. And any little monster knows that for that tour, if you were first in line, you got to meet Lady Gaga. So what did Amber do? A week before the concert, she camped out in a tent, right, for 7 days. There were tornado warnings. It was raining. She took vacation to camp out and be that very first person. And so this is her backstage meeting Lady Gaga. And she told me, you know, I've never felt a connection more to an artist who really has changed my life with her music, and I had to meet her. I had to meet her. And so this is one of the things that you need to know about 1%ers. They're kind of weird. They can be kind of strange. They can exhibit behavior that you might think is nutso. But they love your company so much, they love you so much. And it's funny, I talk to a lot of companies and corporations who have fans like this, and they think these are weirdos. And I have to say to them, no, no, no. These are our best customers. Are we doing anything differently for them? Are we connecting with them? It isn't just pop stars that has 1%ers. I want to introduce you to Ron Susi. This is Ron. He lives in Southern Virginia with his wife, Geraldine, and clearly you can see he loves Costco. Geraldine, his wife, made him this shirt because everywhere they go, he talks about Costco. People will say, oh, I really like your glasses. He'll say, well, yeah, I got them at Costco. He got his jeans, his patio furniture, everything he gets from Costco. When they go on vacation, they have to go to the Costco in that town so they can travel to all of them and see all the wonderful world of Costco, right? So he's Costco man. So it isn't just pop stars, it's big box discount retailers. And I'm going to share what I'm a one percenter for. Hopefully I won't get any boos. I was born in Pittsburgh. I'm a giant Pittsburgh Steeler fan. Where are my Steeler fans? Some Steeler fans? I know you can boo. It's all right. You're a Ravens fan. I can take it. Let's go back to Steeler fans. Steeler fans? So as I said, I was born in the 70s. This is me going to the Super Bowl on the left there. These are my custom Converse shoes. I run the Pittsburgh Steeler Fan Club in Austin, Texas, where I'm from. That's our logo there. And that is the tattoo on my ankle. I never wanted a tattoo until I moved to Austin. Those of you from Austin know it's contagious. You have to get one. And I thought the only thing I love more than life itself is the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I'm a giant one percenter. I know it seems weird. Like it might seem strange when you think about someone who would volunteer their time to host parties around the Steelers every single week, during the season. But that's what one percenters do. Like they will literally volunteer their time to help you if only they were asked or if only there was an opportunity. So I just wanted to share with you kind of the behavior that you might see. And instead of thinking, ooh, these really weird people, these are actually some of our best customers. So here's what I want to know. I want to know what you are a one percenter for. So right now, I want you to think about a product that you love, that you share with other people, maybe you give as a gift, you absolutely love it. I want you to think about the product. So not your company or anything like that. I want you to turn to your neighbor, and for 30 seconds, I want you to share what that thing is that you absolutely love. Ready? Go. Okay, you got it? All right, all attention back here now. All right. I would like to know an amazing story of what you're a one percenter for. Would anyone like to share that story of that thing that they love? Somebody? Does somebody have a good story? I need something very specific. Down here? Thank you. Come over here. Come on over. Look into the camera back there. You're live on YouTube, actually, on the web. Yes, you are right now. Look back there. So who are you?
I'm Clara from Houston.
Clara from Houston. Who do you work for, Clara?
I work for the Hilton Americas.
Awesome, amazing. Now, what is that one thing that you are a one percenter for?
Bluebell ice cream.
Bluebell ice cream. Now tell us about your love of Bluebell ice cream.
I love Bluebell so much that when they came out with their foodborne illness outbreak, they removed it from the shelves. And I actually went to this super sketchy gas station in town that I knew would have not removed it yet, so I could buy it before they removed it.
I heard you say the word foodborne illness.
1%.
Oh, only So you were going to brave the foodborne illness to find the one that didn't have it.
I did not get sick.
You did not. Thank goodness. I'm so happy. We're all happy to hear that, actually. So you braved your safety. You sought it out. Wow, that's amazing. Is that one of the craziest stories you've ever heard?
I'm really embarrassed I admit this, and my friends made me come tell you.
Thank you, friend. This is a lovely moment. I'm so glad you would share it with us. Clara is a 1%er. Thank you, Clara. That was scary. Any other amazing stories that didn't involve anything having to do with foodborne illnesses? Could I get you to come up in the green? You look like you have to share this. This better be good. Come on up. Your friends made you. See, that's why I wanted you to tell your neighbor, because your neighbor would push you up here. And you are?
My name's Megan Ely.
Megan. Megan, where are you from?
I'm from Richmond, Virginia.
Richmond in the house. Where do you work?
I'm with myself. I'm with OFD Consulting. So
Excellent.
I'm my #1 fan, but that's not why I'm up here.
I love it. Branding. It's amazing. So you're a 1%er for?
For my car guy. Headlights to tailpipes back in Richmond, Virginia. I am the unofficial president of their unofficial fan club. So I was 22 and I was just out of school, and I hope I don't offend. I'm the stereotypical girl who did not understand cars, and they were just so nice to me over the years. And then one time I had just started my own business, and I was trying to work a part-time job to help pay the bills, and I was heading to an interview, and my car it died, the battery died, and I live right near them coincidentally, and I called very high-pitched, freaking out about it, and I said, my car, job interview, muffled in cries. And so they're very busy, but the owner came to my house and jump-started my car and left me with the portable thingamajigger. See, I haven't gotten any better at it. And he left it with me so I could bring it to the interview in case I had any more problems. So now half of the wedding industry in Richmond uses headlights to tailpipes. So
Wow, that's amazing. That is a great story. And you tell everyone about them in Richmond.
Everyone here too should
And
to him.
everyone on the web now, if you live in Richmond, knows about this gentleman. Yeah. Megan, thank you so much, a 1%er. So you see what I'm saying? Crazy, crazy stories about people who will, life and limb is no matter to be able to get that product. So thank you for sharing that. So 1%ers, they do crazy, crazy things. So are you paying attention to your 1%ers? And if you're not, you are not alone. So this is some research just to show you from Forrester, who takes a look at what some of the top marketers in the country pay attention to. And they were doing a survey, and they were asking these top marketers of all these great companies, what are your priorities for next year? And this is what they saw. I don't know if you can see in the back, but 59% of these chief marketing officers said the most important thing to do is acquire new customers. And the next one, 42% new products, 41% new brand awareness. It's like new, new, new. It's almost like the shiny new object syndrome. But what about current customers? If we look at the chart again for what these marketers are doing with current customers, you can see it drops to 30% of customers. 30% of these marketers are thinking about how do we keep our customers. Only 26% are looking at the lifetime value of a customer. Only 26% are trying to create customer advocates, to create word of mouth. Now that math seems wrong to me. We're focused so much on getting new customers when our current customers are the ones who are going to get us new business. They're going to refer us to other people, but they're not spending enough time on them. And we all know it's kind of conventional wisdom. It's 5 times cheaper to keep that customer than to get new ones. So to me, the math is kind of off. We need to really focus on getting new customers, absolutely. But don't forget that our current customer base is also a source of new customers. I know this group gets a lot of business from word of mouth, so it's really important in all industries, but it may be even really more important in this one as well. So I love that Gaga's she knows about this. Her management team is right on board with this. This is, Troy Carter is a longtime manager for Gaga, and they were in Wired a few years ago when everyone was chasing all these social media likes. Troy Carter, her manager, was saying, you know what, we would rather have 1 million diehard fans who love us, who love our things, than we would 54 million likes. So what he's trying to say there and what they're trying to do in terms of their long-term strategy is keep our current customer base loving us and also growing, because that's going to be the heart of why she's going to be around for a really long time, right? So it's these 1%ers. One of the most important things that she's doing, and I think one of the most important things that we as businesses can do, is to know who they are, to make sure we know them by name, and what are we doing differently with them? The next few things I'm going to talk about are ways that we can do things with our 1%ers to keep them loving what we're doing and to keep them referring to us. And that is something I call leading with values. And here's the idea. When we think about why people buy a product or buy a service, you know, there's sort of the analytical side. It could be, what are the services, what are the prices, all of that, sort of like the analytical decision making. But there's also the other side, the emotional side, right? The emotional side of who are the people behind the business? You know, do I connect with them? And definitely in this business, where it's definitely a people business, the idea of really connecting with our clients on an emotional level is really, really important. And so the idea of leading with what you stand for, leading with what you believe in, is really important. So let me show you about what Gaga does here. When she first started, she was 19. She couldn't get booked anywhere. She had a demo record, no one was booking her. There was actually a gay bar in New York City that booked her for the first time. And then another one, and then another one. And then the San Francisco Gay Pride Parade booked her, and she began to develop this following in the LGBT community. And when she became more popular, with a bigger following, she thought, you know what, I'm very loyal to these people who supported me, so I want to lend my voice to the issues of equality in this community. This is her speaking at the National Equality March a few years ago. She was a big proponent of repealing Don't Ask, Don't Tell. Whatever she could do to lend her voice to this community, she did. So on her second album, she decided to dedicate it to her fans, specifically her LGBT fans. She would often invite some of these young teenagers, these kids, to meet her after the concert, at the tour bus, and they were telling her that some of them were kicked out of their home because they came out to their parents. They were homeless. LGBT youth are bullied 6 times more than straight youth, and bullying is a huge problem no matter what kind of people we are. Young kids constantly bullying people at school. And she decided to dedicate her new album called Born This Way. If you remember, you guys know the Born This Way album? You've heard of it? Yeah? And that lead single off the album was called Born This Way. Many of you might have heard it, but I wonder if you've listened to the lyrics, because what she's done in this one song when it came out was to tell her fans it's okay to be who you are. We should celebrate that because you were born this way. I just want to play you a little clip, and I've got the words annotated, and I want you to watch the lyrics so you can see her values coming through in the song.
My mama told me when I was young, we're all born superstars. She rolled my hair, put my lipstick on, in the glass of her boudoir. There's nothing wrong with loving who you are, she said, 'cause it made you perfect, babe. So hold your head up, girl, and you'll go far. Listen to me when I say I'm beautiful in my way, 'cause God makes no mistakes. I'm on the right track, baby, I was born this way. Don't hurt yourself and regret, just love yourself and you say I'm on the right track, baby, I was born this way.
Oh, that was before a concert at Madison Square Garden backstage. And you can see the kind of the values coming through. And when this song came out, she was really inundated with fans who were tweeting her saying, thank you so much for sort of validating who I am. It was an amazing outpouring. But there was one fan in particular who was actually, those of you who are Little Monsters, I don't know if you know Jamie Rodemeyer. Linwood, do you know the Jamie Rodemeyer story? He was a 15-year-old who was a really big advocate for It Gets Better, and he would do these YouTube videos for It Gets Better. He was bullied at school himself, and he was a giant Gaga fan. And, even he, unfortunately, committed suicide. And his last tweet was actually to Gaga saying, "Thank you for being such an advocate for us." And it was really a life-changing moment for her. And she said, "You know what? I'm going to really stand up for Jamie and stand up for this cause that I have to eradicate bullying." And she actually told President Obama she wanted to actually ask him about making bullying a hate crime. So she actually did speak with him, and she really decided that, you know what? Laws were not going to fix this problem. And what if she could help change the culture? So this is where she actually put her values into action. She started something called the Born This Way Foundation, and I don't know if you have heard of it, but it's a nonprofit, kind of a grassroots movement to help change the culture. She launched it partnering with Harvard, with the Kathleen Sebelius from the Obama administration, with the Kauffman Foundation. And at this ceremony at Harvard, she had invited kids and teenagers, young people from all over the country who were advocates in their school for anti-bullying. And she told them, you know what, this is not a charity we're going to throw money at. I'm asking all of you to create a movement to help me. Help me do this. And she also was doing things like this. So this is where some of the funds raised. This is, I've never seen this before with a pop star. So on the Born This Way tour, she actually had a little tailgate area with a giant bus called the Born Brave bus. And if you were under 25, you could apply to come on the bus and kind of hang out with other people. She would often, before the concert, come out and hang out. And there were counselors on this bus. So if you were having any issues, there was someone to talk to. And what she was trying to do was demystify counseling for these young people so they realize that you can get help. Again, I've not seen a pop star do this. But the idea with your values is it isn't just saying what you believe in. It's actually showing people by actually doing things, right? So we bring this back to business. This isn't just sort of a warm and fuzzy, this is what I believe in. This is actually a strategy that works for businesses. This is some research from Jim Stengel, who was the longtime chief marketing officer for Procter & Gamble. And what Jim did with Millward Brown was to look at 10,000 companies. They looked at companies that they felt led with their values, what they stood for. And they isolated that down to 50 companies who were the best at this. And then they looked at their financial performance. And they were able to show over a 10-year period that those companies that connected with customers on this emotional level had a 400% improvement in their financial performance over the S&P 500. So this isn't just a warm, fuzzy idea. It really is something that makes good business sense. And just to show you an example of one of the Stengel 50 and one of my favorite companies, what about Method? You guys know Method? Where's my Method fans? Yeah? So you know this is the green cleaning company. It was started by Eric Ryan and Adam Lowry. And when they started it, they were very upfront with what they believed in. They wanted to look at this category, which often had kind of products that may have things that may not be that great for the environment, and they wanted to revolutionize it. They wanted to be this catalyst in this sort of healthy home revolution. So they created these great green cleaning products. They look amazing, by the way, so just like you guys, they've used design as a way to attract people. I mean, you just want to put them in your house because they look so cool, right? But they developed this following for people who believed in products for your home that were good for you, good for the environment, your family, your pets, all of that. And then an interesting thing happened that showcased this idea that this works. Back during the recession in 2011, there was a great article that talked about this. During the recession, what they were finding is that people were cutting back on green cleaning products. Now, you might remember, after Method came out, people like Clorox and some of the other large cleaning companies started to come out with their green cleaning products. So people were buying these. And then during the recession, as people were cutting their budgets, what they were finding is that customers of the niche brands like Method were not cutting it out of their budgets, but the conventional brands customers were. And the analyst in this category was saying, well, the reason why was because customers who believe in the environment, they believe in method, they have the same values, they are not cost conscious. They're not going to cut out those products because it's too important to them. They will cut out something else. This is the idea. These customers who love us, who believe in us, who share our values and have a connection, they often aren't as price sensitive as other customers could be, because they believe and they want to be part of what we're doing. They want to embrace us, and that is the idea here. So the idea is to think about what is it you stand for? Are we just providing a service, or are we doing something bigger? Are we changing our customers' lives in some way? It's something that we believe in. And do we showcase that in everything we do? So that customers know. If I were to walk up to your customer and say, what does your company believe in, would they be able to tell me? And that's the idea. Does that make sense? Yes. Awesome. Okay, let's move on to another idea. And this is a really great strategy that Gaga does, and it has to do with your one percenters. And in marketing, we hear a lot of this idea about building community. I don't know if you guys have read about this in some of the marketing literature you might read. But the idea here is about building community among those one percenters. Because one percenters can be a little weird. They love that thing. They love Bluebell. And Clara, I don't know if you know other Bluebell fans and y'all get together and, really? You guys do? Do you just get together and eat Bluebell? Well, not anymore. Yeah, not anymore. Good thing. But one percenters love to connect with other one percenters. You know, Steeler fans, we love to get together in a bar and wear our black and gold and twirl our towels because it's just amazing camaraderie, right? That is the idea here. One percenters who love something, they want to connect with other people who love that too. And that's the idea here. So Lady Gaga does this really, really well. And those of you who are Little Monsters, I don't know if you know about this, but this was back in 2012 when Lady Gaga was watching, you know, the Facebook movie, The Social Network? And she was just thinking about community, and she thought, you know, why can't I build a place where all my little monsters could connect? And so she and her team built this amazing community. They actually couldn't find the software they wanted. So you know what they did? They actually built a company called Backplane. They got VC talent, funding, Gaga funded it. They built a company called Backplane. Now that company also builds communities for other companies, but they started it because there was nothing out there. It's called littlemonsters.com. It's a place for people to connect around not just Gaga, but art, acceptance, and connecting with other one percenters. It's sort of like a cross between Reddit and Pinterest, if you know those communities. It's very visual. Most of the things that are posted here are from Little Monsters themselves. The artwork at the top of the site changes every month, and it's something that a Little Monster has created. Gaga is on the site. She's posting, she's commenting, and it's amazing. She's probably one of the best community managers I've ever seen. She actually does her own hashtag campaigns. They're almost like marketing campaigns. And because bullying is one of her big things she really likes to advocate for, she actually told kids that share your bullying stories because that's a way we can support each other and prop each other up. And there was a young man from, I actually believe he was from Phoenix, from this area, who posted last year, and just as an example I wanted to show you, he had posted his story, and all of a sudden I saw that Gaga had commented and wrote, and you don't have to read it, but she wrote this giant post back to him for everyone to see and for everyone to comment on. And so she, you know, is one of the community, and she is being part of it. And that's really the idea here. Because she's put everyone together, they can support each other. Right? And that's just how she does it. But for companies, like to use a corporate example, any Mini fans out there? You love your Mini. You're a Mini one percenter. I love it. I have a Mini too, by the way. Yeah. What do you drive? The Countryman, amazing. Well, 7 years ago, I got just the little baby Mini, you know, like the regular one. And this was 2 years ago. I needed a new car. It was just getting older, and I thought, maybe I should get a different brand. And I happened to be at a party, and this woman walked in and said, "Who owns this Mini outside?" And I said, "I do." And she goes, "Well, I do too." In fact, she said, "I run the Mini Fan Club of Austin." Like, you want what? Apparently, yeah. She told me that they had 700 people in this fan club, and she and another woman ran it, and they would do fun things like get everyone together and drive the back roads of Texas to get barbecue 20 miles away with this giant line of minis driving there. How much fun is that? I know. So she told me that there's a lot of fan clubs, and I started to research this, and I went to miniusa.com, and lo and behold, there's over 100 mini fan clubs in the U.S. So any other where do you live? I'm Houston. You're in Houston. Yes, we are going to motor together soon. I don't know if there's a Houston club. Do you know? There is. There's over 101 clubs in the U.S. Now, you can scroll down, but guess what? These clubs are not run by many. They're run by one-percenters, like my friend Beth that I met at the party, right? So she and this other woman get everyone together. She volunteers her time as a crazy one-percenter because she wants to connect people together. Mini is very smart because they allow this place on their website where people can find each other. And this is key. Mini has done the research to know that the best salesperson for a Mini is another Mini owner. They want people to connect, right? It's a great word-of-mouth story, and they've won many Polk Awards for repeat purchases for compact cars. So they understand this. It's pretty amazing. So they also do their own idea. They do something called Mini Takes the States. So I don't know if you've heard of this, but every 2 years, Mini does this giant thing where they bring all the Mini one-percenters together. And basically, it's a trek across the country. It's 5,000 miles, 15 cities. This was from last year. And there were events in every single city, so you could just go to one city and drive a little or not drive at all. And so they would find that over 900 minis would show up at an average stop. And they could bring your pets and your children and drive along and be part of these celebrations to bring one-percenters together. It was a fun kind of festival atmosphere, everyone having a great time. And if you own a Mini, you know there's a lot to talk about with that Mini. How do you customize it? What kind of package do you have? I mean, there's a million ways to customize this thing. So there's a lot to talk about. People, do you name your Mini? Many people name their Minis. Do you have a name for your Mini? You don't. A lot of people do. It's a thing, apparently. I don't either. But again, weird, crazy behavior from these one-percenters. So they share the names for their Minis. It's an amazing thing. There were actually 400 people who drove the entire 5,000 miles. They had to take off 15 days of work to do this. Okay, you know that car brand that you own? Would you take off 15 days to go hang out with these people that own that same car brand? You wouldn't? You're shaking your head? No? No. Why would you? Unless you're a crazy one-percenter. And they do this every 2 years. It's a big expenditure. A lot of the corporate staff is here meeting all these customers, making that also that personal connection. This is a huge part of their marketing, is putting current customers together, and that's why I wanted to illustrate it to you, because I think it's such a great idea. And so, what car did I buy? I bought the Mini. Do you know the Mini Coupe? I bought this last year. It's the 2012 Mini Coupe. And I didn't just get a new car, but I got 700 new friends. So I don't know if you can say that for your car, but literally that was part of the mentality, is I was joining something. I wasn't just buying a car. So the idea for us to think about as our business, how do we build community around our best customers? Can we connect them to each other, perhaps? I mean, we all are in kind of different roles, I know. We have so many different types of folks in this industry, but would it make sense to somehow connect those folks together? Build a sense of community, or even build a sense of community locally around our advocates. Maybe they're not even our clients, but maybe we have advocates in our community or partners in our community who are our advocates. How could we connect them all together around our values or around things that we believe in? Right? So that's the idea here. Okay, we have time for one more. And that is this idea of generating something to talk about. So this idea about one-percenters. They love to talk about you. They love to tell other people about you. But you know what? They run out of stuff to say after a while, right? And so it is our job as owners of our company or thinks about marketing or sales for our company, it is our job to give our clients things to keep talking about. Because let me tell you what, it is a noisy, noisy world out there. We have lots of competition. We heard about the Google earlier, right? I mean, people can find our competitors with Mrs. Smith down the street. And we need to stand out. Word of mouth, as we all know, word of mouth marketing is the #1 most influential form of marketing. We need people talking about what we're doing. We have to stand out because obscurity is the enemy for all of us. And the great thing about social media is those are just word of mouth jet streams. So now when people talk about us, they can also see what we're doing because people will spread it on these very visual jet streams of word of mouth called Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, all of it. We need to create these things worth talking about. Now with Lady Gaga, if I were to ask you, what is the most talked about thing she has ever done? What would you say? Meat dress? Meat dress? You guys all know about the meat dress? It offended so many people. PETA were offended. Yeah, it was funny because PETA was offended, but yet some of the fashion houses actually named her on like the best dress list because it was so innovative. And do you know the story behind the meat dress of why she wore it? Do you guys know? Do you know? See, this is really interesting because I think she got a lot of buzz for wearing it, but there was actually her values were behind it. So just as an aside, because I didn't know if you guys didn't know. So this was, when she wore it was 2011, September 2011, and it was when, or was it 2010? It was when Don't Ask, Don't Tell was going to be repealed. It was in the, I think the Senate had, the House had approved it, but the Senate had not. Well, here comes the MTV Music Awards. This was September, and she had been a long-time advocate for the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. So she decided she was going to make a big splash at this event. And when she walked the red carpet, actually on MTV, it's a white carpet. So she's walking the carpet, and in tow, she had veterans who had actually been discharged dishonorably because they were gay, because at that time you couldn't serve. That's why she was so incensed with this. And as the reporter from MTV was interviewing her on the red carpet, who are you wearing? She said, I am wearing Alexander McQueen, but what I want to talk about is why we are not repealing Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And then she told everyone about the veterans that she had with her who had been dishonorably discharged. And she made a plea to everyone to call their senator to repeal. Then later that night, she was up for 8 awards, and the biggest one was, of course, Music Video of the Year. And before she came out, she changed into the infamous dress. And she was up on stage, winning the award, telling Cher to hold her meat purse, which I loved. Right? And everyone was like, oh my God, that is a dress made out of meat. She immediately went from there to the Ellen show, still in the meat dress, and she said, Ellen said, why did you wear this meat dress? And she said, you know, because we are all the same. We are all the same meat on the same bones. Why don't we have the same rights? And that's why she wore the meat dress. But what's interesting is if you went to her Twitter, she told all of her little monsters at the time who were paying attention to tweet Senator Harry Reid to repeal Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And they all did. He was inundated, and it got a lot of buzz in some circles. But as with the media, they saw the dress, ooh, the meat, and they reported on that. Yeah, exactly. And that's okay, because the people who were looking at her Twitter feed saw that she was talking about Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And that's an interesting thing about her. She does the best she can to advocate, and if you don't get it, that's okay. But there were a lot of people who understood what she was trying to do. So I think she's gotten a hit sometimes because she does these weird things that people think is about generating buzz, but often there's values behind it of why she's doing it. Sorry, that was an aside there to tell you about the meat dress. But I want to actually tell you a story of maybe something you hadn't heard about. Her perfume. Anyone aware of that? Her perfume? She was approached a couple of years ago. I don't know why all pop stars have to have perfumes. Apparently this is a thing. And Cody came to her and said, hey, we'd like to do a perfume with you. What do you think? And so she thought about it. She was sort of looking on the market, and she was looking at who else out there had perfumes. For example, you know, at the time, Britney Spears had something called Hidden Fantasy, apparently. And Christina Aguilera had Royal Desire. And of course, Queen Bee, Beyonce, had something called Heat, Catch the Fever. Even Katy Perry had a perfume. Apparently, it was called Purr, and it was for women who like cats. I don't know, something. I'm not really sure. And even Justin Bieber had a perfume. In fact, he has 2 perfumes, but this one apparently makes you smell like his girlfriend, I guess. I don't know. So she's kind of looking at what's going on in the marketplace, and again, Lady Gaga really doesn't do anything unless there's something behind it. So she went back to Cody and she said, okay, I'll do a perfume. You know what, here's my idea. She's a big student of fame. She said, I want it to be called Fame. So I want this perfume to be called Fame. Fame is seductive, and it can be dark, and it can be evil. And so my idea, she said, is I want a black perfume that is black in the bottle, but it sprays on clear. And Cody said, yeah, you're not asking much. There's no technology to be able to do that. And she said, okay, well then never mind. And then they went, holy shit, this is Lady Gaga. Right? Let's see what we can do. And so Cody sent the scientists off and said, see if you can figure this out. And in 6 months, they came back and they had figured out how to do this. And now that technology is patent pending. And so this perfume called Fame was launched 2 years ago. And this is what it looks like. And in fact, I happen to have a little bottle right here. I know. So just to show you, it is actually black in the bottle, and it sprays on clear. And I'm wondering who would not be afraid to try this on? Because I know you're just thinking, I just want to smell this thing, right? Whoop. Hold on. Okay. Anyone else? It's unisex. It smells delicious. So any guys who are interested? Anybody? Oh, look at this gentleman. He's not afraid. Sprays on clear, right? Anyone else? Anyone? I love it. This whole room is going to smell like this. All right, Walter, way to go. I love it. And so when this hit the market, it was huge because it had never been done before. Never been done before. It sold 6 million bottles in the first 2 weeks, 30 million bottles in the first 6 months, and it became the fastest selling perfume after Chanel No. 5. Mm-hmm. But of course, Lady Gaga can't just do anything small. So the marketing for this particular perfume was over the top as well. It was something worth talking about. She partnered with Stephen Klein, and she created an 8-minute film that cost $1 million to market this perfume. And what I'm going to show you is a 30-second clip from the 8-minute film for this perfume.
Fame.
Fame. Lady Gaga Fame. Right? Did that not look like some special effects movie that should be a sci-fi movie? Yeah, it was amazing. And so again, everything that she's doing is creating something to talk about. The first black perfume, this amazing commercial. It was, the idea is to stand out, to do things that are different. That's the idea here. And I love this quote too. There's a quote here from Cody. Actually, the head of marketing said that this idea of the black perfume was the biggest innovation in the perfume industry in the last 20 years. This pop singer had pushed an entire industry to do something different. Right? And that's what we need to do as well. We need to push ourselves to do something different. Your industry is amazing because you guys are so creative, your clients are demanding that, and these are the things we need to do. So guess what, guys? I already have this perfume, and I need to give it away to somebody. And I'm wondering, who do you think I should give it to? Who am I giving it to? Am I giving it to Linwood? Should I? Because he's a giant Gaga fan. Linwood, do you have this? I do not. You do not? Should I give it to him? Yes, that's for you. You're welcome. I hope you enjoy. You'll wear it tonight. So if you haven't smelled it, just come smell Linwood. He will have it for you. I love it. I love it. Well, I want to also take it to business. There's a great, it's not just Gaga who can create great word of mouth. There's a really cool company in Austin that is a theater company. They're a chain of theaters, and they're called the Alamo. Does anyone know about the Alamo Draft House? Do I have Austin people? Is that what? So you guys know. So if you've never heard of them, they've been around for, gosh, a while now. I think it may be about 10, 15 years. And it was created by Tim and Carrie League. And Tim and Carrie love the movies, right? They want their whole mission in life actually is to provide an amazing experience for movie fans. They love the movies. And so in their movie theaters, they have a few rules about what happens in a movie theater because they want that movie fan to have an amazing time. So you might not see this in other theaters, but for example, there's no ads before the film. There's trailers, but there's no ads for products, right? No children under 6. I know. No unaccompanied minors. A new rule they have is if you arrive after the movie starts, you don't get in. Amen, right? But maybe their most controversial rule is the one about there's no talking, there's no texting, there is no using your phone at all. And they actually play PSAs before the movies run that says this is a no talking zone. You will be thrown out on your second warning with no refund. They are really, really serious about this because they don't want to mar that whole idea of the movie experience by someone pulling their phone out. Everyone who has gone to an Alamo knows, and once you see that PSA, you realize they are serious. There is no talking. Well, apparently, a little while ago, a couple of years ago, there was a woman who was thrown out. Did I mention they serve food and alcohol there? I think she'd had a few too many, and she was thrown out. She was really pissed. She called the corporate voicemail and left them a really, really angry message. And they thought it really might be fun to just showcase that message to everyone, and they made a YouTube video out of it. Yes, they did. And they put it on the web, and it goes a little like this.
Yeah, I was wondering if you guys actually enjoy treating your customers like a piece of because that's how I felt when I went to the Alamo Draft House. Okay? You know what? I didn't know that I wasn't supposed to text in your little crappy theater. It was too dark in that place for me to find my seat, all right? I was using my phone as a flashlight to get to my fucking seat. So excuse me for using my phone in USA, United States of America, where you are free to text in a theater. I was not aware that I couldn't text in your theater, all right? I've texted in all the other theaters in Austin, and no one ever gave a about what I was doing on my phone, all right? And it was on silent. It wasn't on loud. It wasn't bothering anybody. You guys obviously were being with me, and I'm sure that's what you do, you know, to rip people off. You take my money, and then you throw me out. You know, I will never be coming back to your Alamo Draft House or whatever. I'd rather go to a regular theater where people are actually polite. And, you know, I'm going to tell everyone about how you are. And I'm pretty sure you guys would be assholes on purpose. So thanks for making me feel like a customer. Thanks for taking my money, asshole.
We don't want your kind here. That's what they were saying. Well, you can imagine, they put this online and it went crazy. It went around the world. Media outlets picked it up everywhere. And those of us who were Alamo One pretenders were like, yeah, right on. This is why we go to the Alamo. We don't go to any other theaters in our town if you have an Alamo in your town because it's an amazing experience. And when you looked at the comments on social media, you saw all these people saying, oh my God, I wish there was an Alamo in my town. And all the 1%ers were talking about the amazing experiences they were having. This is a little scary, right? I mean, they just made fun of a customer. They took a risk, they took a chance, but it worked because the whole idea of this thing was to reinforce their values. We believe in an amazing customer experience in our theaters. And if you're someone who likes to talk or text, do not come. We don't want you because we want everyone to love what we're doing. I think that's why it worked. And in fact, it was amazing because Anderson Cooper even picked it up. And he said that he thought Tim League should actually win the Nobel Peace Prize for standing up for the customer viewing public everywhere, right? I love it. So they did something different. They took a risk, it stood out, it went viral, and I'm not saying record a video of your customer and put it on the web and hope, let's not do that. But let's take risks, let's stand out, let's make sure that the things that we are doing are worth talking about, that they're worth Instagramming about, that they're worth a comment. Everything we do, not just the amazing events we create, but even the interactions with our team, right? Those interactions we have with our clients, are they worth talking about? Is it an amazing experience the whole way around? That's what we need to do. That's what the Alamo did. That's what Gaga does. And I think that's what smart companies, large and small, do. They create things worth talking about in this really noisy, noisy world. Okay, we've come to the end. Actually, I just wanted to review real quickly what we covered today. We talked about focusing on your 1%ers, those really advocates who love what you do. We talked about leading with values and creating that emotional connection. We talked about building community among those 1%ers. And we talked about creating things to talk about. There's a few more strategies in the book, so if you're interested, again, we're going to do that book signing. And if you're interested in staying connected, I'm Jackie Huba on Twitter, Jackie Huba online, and Facebook as well. But I wanted to just leave you with, again, just another idea around Gaga. You know, when I first started studying her, I didn't realize that over the next 6 years, I was going to be so inspired by someone who is now 29, and I'm 50. And I look at this woman who is so amazing and so inspirational. And this is a shot from backstage last year in Chicago. We were backstage with 20 fans. And people said to her backstage, you know, we love you, we love your art. Whose art do you love? And she started talking about Michael Jackson and how much she really loved his art. But then she turned it back to the young people in the room and she said, I hope that you will push yourself to display your art to the world. And I would love to give that message to you because I think what you guys do is amazing creative work. And I hope that you will keep pushing yourselves and pushing boundaries to be as creative as you can be, take chances, take risks, and do some amazing work in the world. You guys, thanks so much for your time today. I appreciate it.